how far can we actually take this technology, and to what extent can it actually replace a human workforce?
I think we're in the middle. I think we're still in like the third inning of that right now in terms of retrofitting our business processes to be able to capitalize off this. The panel before talked about the fax machine. That's still a very, very relevant tool in our industry when communicating corporate actions across banks, the fax machine, right? Until that's completely weeded out of our system, I still think there's a lot of dry powder to improve our day-to-day processes. Look at trading, for example. I think we talked about that at our prep. There's aspects of our industry that went full in on automation, algorithms. AI isn't a new thing for investments. We just called it different things. APIs, bots, it's all been incorporated. So I think now it's starting to hit. For me, the big difference, it's hitting kind of more the human job, the call centers, helping people, on the distribution side, send out more prospecting emails. So that's been kind of the evolution of hitting these parts of our business that are still very brick and mortar, touching a lot of paper, calling callbacks, calling people to make sure they're there. I don't think we get rid of a lot of those things because those brick and mortar things help protect the digitization and the speed of everything. I think we need to rethink new ways to oversee this technology as we evolve. But I still think third inning, we have a little while to go till we sort of completely digitize our investment processes.
I think we're in the first inning. So general business processes, I think you can largely determine an op model that works. I think that there's industry specific that still needs to go through. Right? There's going to be a lot, like a wave of that probably in the next 2 to 3 years. I think that there's more that can actually be done once you actually start getting into a discussion of, and this is a bit futuristic, right? But like I don't think we're going to get to AGI. There's a very big discussion there when it actually has to think of its own thoughts. But the interface between large language models and healthcare, soft tissue analysis, and right, because it also can understand patterns in pictures, right? So that's an amazing front that is still out there. Large language models, once you actually start putting it into a mechanical interface, right? You look at Tesla Optimus. How much longer until the capital curve comes down so low that a robot costs all of a sudden $25,000, training it is $25,000, replacement cost is less than 1 year's salary? What happens then? There's a lot more to this that we're not fully thinking through. I think even as a society that we really need to start beginning to really comprehend. But I do think that we're still in way early innings right now.
There's going to be more that you can do with this that we don't even know yet. But I also think some of that is about experimentation and learning and evolving and keeping that going inside your company. Some of it is also top down in terms of, is your leadership being intentional about where they want to use it and where they still want the high touch? We have that in electronic trading as well. We have still people where trades where humans are still required. And I think every business has to make that choice. This is my distinction, or this is where my human experience really matters. And that's going to be a distinguishing factor for your value proposition as a firm. So I think being very intentional about saying, this is where I really want to push it as far as it can go with the tech. And these are like areas where I'm going to reserve and keep my human talent because of the wisdom, experience, and sort of human touch that they bring.
I feel like the scary part of predicting AI adoption is the underlying technology is evolving fast. ChatGPT came out in the end of 2022, and the lead table of all the models keep refreshing on a monthly, weekly basis. Every other month, a new open source model come out, the closed source model keep getting better. Is it going to continue to grow at this trajectory, or is it going to taper out? How much new skills it can still acquire? Should we judge it based on its today's capability or make some projections, and what trajectory that projection should follow? That's the challenging part.
Does anybody remember 4GLs? 4GLs, fourth generation languages. We weren't going to need programmers anymore because you could just program in natural language. You don't remember it because it never worked. Do we have that now? Maybe to some extent, except you have to review it and you have to know what you're doing and you have to debug it. And anybody who writes software knows that actually debugging somebody else's code is harder than writing it yourself. So now there's a question of how useful this is going to be in a certain respect. Another historical item that I'd like to bring up when we start thinking about where these things are going is the internet itself, right? 1980s, they were just building the internet. ARPANET was being split into the DARPANET and the MILNET with mail bridges, mail gateways connecting them. When we were building this, ever thought that there would be a dot-com bubble in 2000? And who ever thought when any of this was being built, even after the dot-com bubble in 2000, that the internet would be saving us during a pandemic and allowing us all to work from home? These things just weren't envisioned. We have so many different things that happen and go on. Imagination, it can go anywhere.
There's kind of a conversation of what really is this, right? It's not a panacea, right? It's not an all-seeing God that can make decisions for us. It's a technology. Technologies will be used like a microprocessor or the computer itself, right? It's something that you can put into a workflow or a process that makes it better. Now, human innovation and entrepreneurs will take this in a million different levels. And that's the beautiful part. Like, I look at America and I look at the entrepreneurship that is going to be burgeoning in this generation, and I am excited to see what our generations are going to be able to develop with this technology. Just like the microprocessor, right? There's going to be a Steve Jobs that comes out of this generation. If you haven't already done it, take a look at OpenAI SDK. You can put together your own multi-agent workflows, or use Stack AI. You can use it and you can put them together. You can actually see how the agents can talk to each other. You can see how the workflows work, and then see what you can actually develop. I will tell you that once you really start using it and start putting this all together, you're going to be amazed at what we're going to be able to accomplish in this generation.
It's a technology that's making almost every organization rethink how they do business, who they do business with, and where they do business across the globe. It's got impact on right shoring. It's got impact on org charts. And that's where I think we're going to go. We're going to see companies that have 10 people, right, that are $1 billion valuation because they're leveraging this. Are we there yet? Maybe first inning, third inning, still early baseball game. Let's agree on that.
It's definitely early.
And we shouldn't worry too much about the young generation. They grew up with the technology. We had the summer interns coming in, and they did code that 75% were written by AI, supervised by them. We posed some challenges on exactly what your AI wrote in this code, but they are very native. I think the existing employees has to adapt, but the new generation are already trained on these things.
I mean, I remember getting trained on Cobalt, so this is amazing.